All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of Modern Running. It's Noah here with Jordan, and we're just big chilling. How's your week, homie?
It was good. It was very fast this week, actually.
Really?
I know you work at Wegmans, is it?
Yep.
Yeah. I applied for a job at Aldi's, which is grocery store. I don't know
Mhm.
if you have them where you live,
Yeah,
but
we
they're
do.
like local ones around here. I applied at Aldi's about a month ago and haven't heard anything back. So
Really?
then, so I applied at Redner's last Wednesday and haven't heard anything back from that either.
What's that? Is that
So
another grocery store?
yeah, it's like
Okay,
I think that's even more local than Aldi's. I don't even know if they have those outside of
gotcha.
my area. I know they have
Right,
one
right.
in Palmyra, so it's pretty close to LBC. But the job search for me right now is not going too hot, and I think that's just because of COVID.
Right.
I know Aldi sent me an email back like maybe a week or a week and a half after I applied, and they said that their position was on hold, and they didn't say why, but I just took the assumption that it was because of COVID,
Right.
and
What was the position for? Was it just like a generic stalker?
just a store associate, like cashier,
Okay.
stalker,
That's right.
everything.
Those like Wegmans is huge. So like we have very specific roles for every person. So I
Hmm.
just forget that other stores like the Food Lion up here, you're
Yeah,
just a sales floor associate and you do kind of a little bit of everything.
yeah. That's how my job was last summer. I worked at Camping World. We did a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
everything. But then Renner's, I applied for just cashier because they have
Gotcha.
cashiers and stockers, and then they
Mm-hmm.
have like the produce section, the deli, the
Yep, that's what Wegmans
everything
was
like
like.
that. Yeah, Wegmans is huge though. We went there
Wegmans.
for what was it, Max or Regionals?
Yeah,
One of
yeah,
the
we went
two.
there before Max.
Yeah,
We
and
went to
it
my dad's.
it blew my mind away.
That place
Like I didn't
is.
know we could get like a full meal and eat it there. Like that
Oh
was
yeah, there's like a whole cafe part.
yeah.
It's a whole different part than the grocery store.
Yeah, it blew my mind when we went there.
I love it. Absolutely
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
But that's good.
yeah,
Kind of. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
job search, but you're working for
yeah.
your dad, right? What does he do?
He does construction on the side. He is a
Gotcha.
full-time employee at a glass shop where he does like glass shower enclosures, like sliding doors,
Oh
pivot
shit.
doors, things like that, which is like really heavy glass. And I worked with him at that place
Hmm.
2 summers in a row, but 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then he also does construction on the side where he has his own business. So
Oh,
I've been helping
that's
him with that
awesome.
out a bit. Yep. We've been like doing siding, capping stuff, doors, everything
Yeah,
like
I feel
that.
like
So
people
if you
are
need a new door hinge or like
a
doorknob,
specific door hinge, one
any,
one
any,
hinge.
any.
Okay. I'm
I
gonna
mean,
try to
I've
call
only
you.
done one kind, but I'm assuming it can't be far off.
Okay.
So
Okay. So if
if
I
you need
need,
them, I'm your man.
I'll give you a call. You can drive the 2 hours down here to
Yeah,
fix my one
absolutely.
hinge. Okay. That's
Yeah,
good to know.
yeah,
That's good to know.
yeah.
I'm glad
I
I have
got
a
you.
resource like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
That's funny.
Yeah,
But that's good.
yeah. My run today was definitely my favorite all week. I don't know how much you like running in the rain and running in like ugly weather, but
I prefer it to wind. Wind is my least favorite.
oh, absolutely. I
Least favorite
despise
weather to run
wind.
in.
Yeah.
Summer's nice because I like the heat. I like the sun. I like running in the sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Rain is okay. I prefer snow, but the rain
You
is.
like running in the snow?
I love running in the snow.
Oh,
You put on
geez.
some leggings and a nice
Oh,
warm. The thing is like while it's cold outside and you're kind of freezing,
mm-hmm.
it's quiet, like because snow like
It
it,
is
it
very
absorbs sound
peaceful.
or something like that, so it's very peaceful. Like if you run in the woods when it's snowing, it's so peaceful. And then you get back and your room is like set at 80 on
Mm-hmm.
heat, so you get back and you're like, oh, everything's so comfy. Your toes
Yeah.
are cold, so you slip into your bed, you
Mm-hmm.
sit down, play a little Xbox, watch a little movie. Oh my gosh, there's nothing like it. A
Yeah.
Sunday long run in the snow, and then you just relax the next, like, no homework.
Yeah.
That's the day.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite days.
The only problem I have with snow is, well, A, my fingers, because I have like really bad circulation in my hands to begin with,
Right.
and the snow just makes that worse. But then like if it's snowing as you're running, it just gets in your eyes the whole time. And
Have
like
you ever
that
have you
just
seen the
bugs me.
picture of Tanner's beard when
I
it got
have,
like
yeah, and it's
that is
like
so
an ice,
funny.
yeah, he's got ice crystals in his beard and mustache, and
Yes.
he's got it in his eyelashes too.
Yes, there was stuff
That's
coming
my
out of his
favorite.
eyelashes, his
Yeah,
eyebrows.
yeah,
That
that's
was
my
a funny
favorite part
day.
of that picture. But yeah, I'm definitely more of like an ugly weather like anything that's moody outside. I love it. It gets me so excited to
So
run.
today in the rain.
Yes, it was amazing. My best race was in the rain.
This year?
No, not this year. My
Okay.
senior year. Yeah,
Ooh.
like your freshman year in college, where
Mhm.
every meet was like disgusting.
That was awful, dude.
Yeah, I was
Every
having a
meet was
ball.
wet. I was
Yeah,
pissed. Max was the worst. Have you ever heard about Max our senior or
yeah,
my
I
freshman
did.
year?
I saw pictures.
That was awful. Poor Jeff fell. He had the white singlet that just had mud all down the side. That was my
Yeah,
only motivation not to fall. That one I would have been
because you
pissed
didn't
that I
want to
fell.
get the
But
singlet muddy.
yes, I was a freshman. I was like, this is clean. Like this uniform is so
Oh
clean, and I
man,
only get to wear it for 2 meets. I was like, I am not falling, and I'm not going to look at because I knew Coach would have made fun of me. I don't care how many people fell. Coach would have looked at me and
absolutely.
been like, Noah, you had to get I got to throw this away now. You got this thing so dirty. And I was like, I
Yep.
don't think they make those anymore. Like those are like classy uniforms. I was like,
Big
I'm
time.
not falling because I know Coach will make fun of me.
Yeah.
So that was my
Have you ever
motivation.
fallen during a race because of mud and like because of terrain and everything?
Yes, actually. It was the state meet my senior year. We have
Ooh,
so we
big,
go
big stakes.
we go to a meet or it's the course. It's a bull run if you've ever heard of it. But
The name sounds
basically
familiar. Yeah.
it's at Hereford High School. They have states every year because it embodies running.
Mhm.
It's a 3-mile course, and probably at about a mile in, you take this 200-foot. I'm telling you, straight downhill. Like
Jeez.
this thing is downhill, and then you
Mhm.
take another 200-foot straight uphill. They call it the dip. So
So
you
it's
go
like a
down.
V
Yeah, you
or a
come
U.
down. It
Yeah.
like flattens a little bit, and then you go right back up, and then you
Ooh.
run around some fields, and then you come back. You go back down and come
You do
back
the
up.
same thing twice, but
You go
backwards.
the opposite way, right? Exactly. So you go up and down both sides, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the one side that you go up the first time, it's a little steeper, and it's dirt. And so they have, when you go down, they have mattresses on the trees because
Because
people would
people
like,
run into them.
yeah, people have like
Oh my
lost control
god.
and run into the trees.
Jeez.
So this thing is insane. Like, I don't care how hilly of a course like people think they have. Like you can't judge this thing until you've run it in a race
Yeah.
because when you come up the second time, you do maybe a quarter of a mile loop and then you finish. So you're
Yeah.
gassed at this point because the first one wiped you out, and then you've got still hills. It's like kind of flat, but there's like probably 20 feet of elevation gain,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like one big hill, like 120-foot at the same time. But like that's still tiring you because you're trying to gain speed, and that's where you pass people because people going up the hill, they die
Yep.
because they sprinted the first part of the state meet because they had balls, and so that's where you pass them. So you're doing work that whole time, and then you come back down. Well, I was about to go back down. I was about to go the second time, and I looked and I saw that it looked like someone had slipped on this. It wasn't like mud, like it was a dry day, but it was like
Mm-hmm.
wet. You know how there's like wet dirt, how it's like almost that clay material, but it's not like
Yeah.
hardened
Yeah.
clay. So it was like that kind of soft clay material. And I looked at it and I thought everything moved in slow motion. I was like, don't step on that because you're going to slip. Don't step on it because you will slip. Somebody else slipped. You can see it. Don't step
Yep.
on it.
Learn from their mistakes.
I put my right foot right on there, and
Oh,
and that's at the top of the
like
hill
completely wipe your legs out?
completely. So my hip
Oh,
slammed into the ground, and I got pissed. So I like stood up, I smacked the ground and threw myself up, and thank God those mattresses were there because I flew down that hill. I was like zooming
I
down
can't
this hill.
believe they have mattresses at the meet.
Oh my gosh. It's terrifying when you see it as like your first year. You're like, why do they have mattresses there? And then
Yeah,
you watch
and
the
then you
varsity
find
kids
out.
race. And because as a freshman, I was like, oh, like this looks hard, but I'm sure people like know that and kind of go slow. But then you see, as a freshman, you see these varsity runners who have been doing this for 4 years flying down this
Yep.
hill. And you're like, what the heck is this? That's terrifying.
Yep. I couldn't imagine being on like the crew that has to set up the meet and they're like, all right, we need this many flags, we need a timing crew, and then we need 36 mattresses.
we gotta get the mattresses, dude.
Gotta pad up the trees.
But yeah, so I've fallen in that. I've never fallen, knock on wood, in steeplechase yet.
Ooh.
I've fallen once in practice, and I told myself I'll never do it again.
At
But
least
that
not in a
was
meet ever.
I've fallen twice in practice. Once I don't really count because it was over hurdles. But I like jumped and I thought I was about to hit the ground. So I
Mm-hmm.
like, when you hit the ground, your foot goes kind of behind you, like you
Yeah.
land and then you push forward. Well, I thought I was on the ground, so I
So
just
you
brought
pushed
my
already.
foot back
Yeah.
and there was no ground there. So I had no feet under me. So when I
Mm-hmm.
landed, I looked like an idiot and just kind of fell.
And that wasn't even the water barrier, was it?
No, I don't count that one. I did fall in the water barrier. Right before Max, it actually psyched me out big time for Max.
Oh.
Because it was like that was my first year ever doing steeple,
Mm-hmm.
and I raced it once at Millersville. Did great. Came second to the national champion that year. Fun fact: he only beat me by
Wow.
a minute. I think he was, kind of jogging it, but he only beat me by a minute in my first ever steeple.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but then afterwards, I did like 2 5Ks and then took a week off. But we didn't do any.
Hurdle practice or
We
anything
did
like
we did
that.
hurdle practice, but we didn't do any water barrier practice was the thing.
Oh,
And the
okay.
water barrier is so different. Like you have to be very like conscientious about where you're putting your foot. Like timing is everything, steps are everything. Like you have to really pay attention. That's why I love the steeplechase so much. Is like in a normal race, sometimes you can get away with kind of just like turning your brain off and going, but like
Yeah.
you have to
That
be
you have to be conscious of what
actively
you're
right.
doing.
You have to be thinking about every move you're making.
Yep.
So for those of you that don't know what the steeplechase is, it's 3,000 meters of 7 barriers. I think there's 6 or 7 barriers. One of them is water. For men, they're 36 inches tall. And when I say it's kind of like a hurdle, like they're like hurdles in terms of you have to jump over them. But if you watch hurdles, a hurdle
They
will
fall.
move when you hit it. Right. A hurdle falls. A barrier, you fall. Like
Yeah.
the barrier will not move. You can hit that thing with all 12 people in the race. The barrier will not move.
Jeez.
So there's
How
an
high is
interesting.
36 inches compared to
It,
like the hurdles that sprinters use? Like it's
it's the
obviously not the high
men's.
hurdles, but
No, it's the men's 400-meter hurdle. So it's the middle height on them.
dang. Okay. Oh, I didn't
So
know they were that high. That's nuts.
it's insane. It comes right up of my hip.
Yeah, I could not imagine doing that for what is it?
3,000
Seven and
meters.
a half laps?
Yep, 7.5 laps.
Couldn't
It
imagine.
it's one of the most like painful races because you really like you have no idea. Like if you think your legs hurt at the end of a 3K, you have no idea.
Yeah. Because you have to
Because even though
jump on
you're
top of
going
that and then your
slower,
shoes are wet.
right, even though you're going slower in a steeple, like you're not gonna, excuse me, you're not gonna run the same pace.
Yeah.
Even though you're going slower, the pain is just so much more. And when you come that last lap and you're like, oh, kick, no, well, you got to jump too. Like there's an
Mm-hmm.
extra level here. So
Yeah.
when all the pain's gone in your legs, you don't want to look like a fool that tripped over the last barrier. So you gotta find something to get over that last water barrier. I'm telling you, you just get splashed with a face full of water and you're like, oh my God, I just want to be done. But then you still have one more dry barrier after that. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, but then once you get over that last one, you sprint as much as you can. That's the fun part. That's the
I wonder
best
how
part of
many
the race.
races have been decided from like two people racing neck and neck on that last barrier and one falls.
There actually, it wasn't the last barrier, but there was one race. It was NCAA D1 championships. I
Like
forget who it
nationals.
was. Yeah. I
Ooh.
forget who it was exactly or what schools it were, but there was one guy who led the entire race. I'm telling you, 20-meter lead the entire race.
Wow.
Went to go over one of the barriers, the bell lap. I think it was the first barrier, the bell lap. Back foot clipped it, sent him in a circle. Guy in second just took off. Race was over.
Dang.
Insane. One tiny mistake in your whole like nationals.
Just like that.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
But yeah, so I fell in practice is where that story was going.
Yeah.
Because we took so much time off, which kind of sucked. But there's a rip in my spikes and a little red mark that I will never get out
Ooh.
because every time I look at it, I think, oh, I fell, and use that as motivation a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Good, not so good memories.
yeah, I mean, I guess teaches me not to slip anymore.
That's true.
Told myself I won't fall.
Yep. I've fallen a lot. And that sounds really bad and really dumb. But
Well, I mean,
I have fallen a lot, but I've had like bad conditions. Like
yeah.
my first time falling in a race, I was in 8th grade and it was our league champ. Like we have a league and then we have districts, state, everything like that.
Mhm.
This was our league championship meet for junior high. And It was the year before I missed getting a medal by 1. Top 30 medal, I got 31st. That always happens to me. I've done that like 7 times. I'm not even joking you. I missed states by this much more.
That's so salt
That's
in
about
the
6
wounds.
inches.
That's
Yeah, I have
so
a picture of it
sad.
too. It's so funny.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So 8th grade was my redemption year to get that medal that I didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up falling 7 times during that race. It
7
was,
times?
yeah, I didn't have spikes. I didn't have
Oh my
spikes, and it was
gosh.
completely muddy. And the one part, it like goes downhill and turns left into the woods. On that downhill, I fell twice and hit my head both times. And my coach was there, and I was just like,
Jeez.
I don't know what to do.
I
Like,
have a
I have
concussion.
0 traction this whole race.
That's awful.
And then I finally got to like a free flat part with grass where I could finally run, and I just sprinted because I wasn't even tired. I finished that race chewing, like I had gum in my mouth, and I wasn't even breathing hard at all.
Jeez.
Because it did not feel like a race. I placed like 40 something, so I wasn't even close to a medal, and I was so upset.
That's so sad.
And my junior year cross country season, no, either junior or senior year, the first meet was another one where it was muddy, and I was by myself, either in the lead or in second, and the leader was really far ahead, and third was really far behind. Either way, I was by myself completely, and it was around a corner, and my foot just slipped. That was it. Like a basic slip and fall. I got really muddy.
I hate that. I hate running in the mud.
Yeah,
Racing
I love
in the mud
it.
is
It gives that like, I don't know. It's like that feeling of uncertainty where you put your foot down and you don't know if it's gonna flick to the right, flick to the left. So you have to like
I hate
extra
that.
stabilize it.
That's what pisses me off.
I feel like it gives me an advantage because I get so much excitement from that, and then my race just turns into fun instead of like this dramatic thing.
My
in my
race
head.
turns into me getting pissed because my foot is just going like left or right. I'm like, stay straight. I put you down and I run straight. Like I know how to do this, and it makes me feel incompetent because I'm like, I know what I'm doing, but my foot is going all over the place. That was last year. You talked about how it was like crazy muddy at our regional meet, the very last meet, with a mile left. We were running it to sales. So you know when you come up that like kind of big, that last big hill. Coach says it's not really big, and then you turn left and come downhill, go to the finish. Yeah. I was going up that hill, and I stepped in mud, and it wasn't even abnormally muddy that day. It was just kind of average for what the season had been. You know, you were kind of taking it. Well, I stepped in mud, and it stuck to the plate of my spikes, so essentially negated the fact that I had spikes on. Yep. So I put my foot down, and it slid, and I'm going up a hill, and I'm telling you, in that moment, I have never wanted to just be done with a race. Like I was so done with the race. I was done with that season. I was done with my shoes. I debated taking them off and finishing barefoot. Like I was just done with everything. I was like, this is stupid. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Why did I sign up to
running in the
college?
mud and not getting anywhere?
Yeah. I mean, I was getting somewhere, but it was
not as much as you should have been.
I'd go up and then my feet would slide. I'm like, I just feel like I'm fighting every possible thing I could be fighting right now. Like it just felt like such defeat. I was like, this is stupid. I'm done. But
I can relate to that. Definitely.
You always got to push through.
Yeah.
But yeah, running and racing in the mud, not my favorite thing. Our senior year, we had your junior year. We had our first race. There's a path through the woods that's probably half a mile long, 3/4 of a mile long. Probably it's probably 3/4 of a mile. It was all dirt when we ran it my junior year. Then we ran it the following year, and it was, I'm telling you, caked with mud to the point where my friend lost his spike in it. I didn't fall.
The spike came out of the shoe?
No, like the shoe came off.
The shoe. Oh my gosh.
So he ran one race, or he ran his race with one shoe on.
I mean, you know how tight you lace up your spikes so that they don't come off, and it still came off.
He quadruple knots his spikes.
And it came off. And it still came off.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think 5 of our 7 people fell. So it was crazy. That race was crazy. But,
dang.
So today was a good day of running?
Definitely. Absolutely. But probably my best of the week. During like the middle of the week was like kind of a dry area for me. Because I just hate running around where I live. Because I live in the country. And so if I go out of my house and I go straight, I have to run a mile in the open before I can turn. If I go out of my house, turn left, right, same deal.
Right.
And then after I turn, it's like 2 miles until I turn anywhere, and it's
Yeah, you're
still
not doing
all
anything.
open. Yeah. So even like a breezy day turns into a windy day every time when I run
Oh,
when I
that's
run on the roads
awful
in my
because it's
house.
just a wind tunnel of just
Yep.
straight. That
And
sucks.
the sunny days just beat down on me
Mm-hmm.
extra hard, which we
Mm-hmm.
had one or two that were pretty hot this week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And both of them I decided to run at my house, and it just beat my, like, I got burnt the one day, which it's 10
Really?
now. I got like some special skin that doesn't allow me to actually like peel. So just
That's
turns to
good.
tanness. Yeah,
That's what we like to see.
absolutely. How was your week?
It was
Anything
good.
interesting happen?
I got a haircut.
Yeah, I see that.
That was kind of amazing. That was the highlight of my week, hands down.
Yeah. And
I
for those of you listening right now on like Spotify, SoundCloud, anything like that, I would highly recommend you hop over to YouTube real quick and just look at this guy's hair. Like it is
appreciate
clean.
that. I
It's
appreciate
very
that.
clean. I like it. Yeah, I'm a
My
fan.
my barber, I'm very loyal to her. I went the entire spring semester, my freshman year of college, not getting a haircut because I wanted her to do it.
Wow.
Um, so she was closed for a while, and then she just put on Facebook that she was taking appointments only. So I called on my lunch break at Wegmans because I was working that day. I opened
Mm-hmm.
and I was off at 3, and I was like, when is her next available appointment, thinking it was going to be like a week in the future. And they were like, we have one at 2, and I'm like, oh, I'll be at work. And she was like, well, what time do you get off? And I said 3, and she was like, could you get here by 3:30? I said, done
Ooh.
deal. I left 5 minutes early. I got my haircut.
Oh baby.
I was very excited. So that was good. In terms of
You
running,
got that special time slot.
I did. She took care of me. But in terms of running, it's been good. I hit 50. I'm gonna hit 50 miles this week,
Ooh,
which
nice.
is a good goal. Next week we're gonna hit like 65 to 70. So we're gonna start aggressively jumping because in the upcoming month I will be hitting a block of like 2 weeks of 90 to 100. It'll be like 90 to 100, 90 to 100, and then 70 the down week after.
That's
Um,
nuts.
and
That's
then
what, 13?
13 a day. It's like a little
Yeah.
over 13 a day. So
Oh,
13, I'll probably do 13 a day, a couple of lower end days like 12 or 11 with a 15-mile long run, 15, 16-mile long run.
my long runs are gonna become your everyday run,
I'm
and
going to
that's
do
insane.
like 9 and then like a 4-mile shakeout every day probably, or like
Oh, okay,
maybe
two a days
if
every
I'm
day.
feeling, if I'm feeling good, we'll bump it up to like 11. And then maybe that's the day I don't do a shakeout. So you have variation with it. You can
Gotcha.
kind of, jump around and see what works for you and how your legs feel that day. And the nice thing is a lot of people think that when you up your mileage, you're also upping your speed or keeping your speed consistent even, which is not true. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I do a 15 or 16-mile long run, I'm not going to bop it at 6:30 pace.
No.
I'll do like realistically, I started my run today at 7:30 pace. I have no shame in admitting that. Some people are like, holy crap, that's crazy. Which to some people it is, but like to collegiate people, that's nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
But like I like to chip down throughout my runs. So it's that 15
Every
mile
run's
long
a
run.
progression run, right?
Right. The first 5 miles of it will be 7:30 pace. Because it's not about how fast you run it, it's the time on your feet.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's really going to make a difference. While getting faster helps.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously doing it
Like a
at
12-mile run
7:30.
at like 6 flat is going to be more beneficial than a 12-mile at 7
Right.
flat.
But a 12-mile run at 7 flat is going to be more beneficial than an 8-mile run at 6 flat.
Yes.
Like I'll take the 12-mile run any day of the week.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that little block, because then once I hit that 70, I'm hoping that's when we start workouts. So I come off of like 3 weeks of high volume, no workouts. So I have a ton of endurance, and then we get into the endurance based workouts, and I can kind of bring my speed from track back into it. And that'll, I feel like, give me a lot of confidence coming into fall.
Yeah. Even you talking about having to do like 13 miles total a day and then like a 15-mile long run, like when I put it in perspective to the mileage I have to do, which is like 8-9 a day with like a 12-mile long run, and that's at like peak mileage. Like coach wants me to hit like 60, I think, for like peak.
Right.
And like for you, that's what you're building next week. That's like your second week of
Yeah.
build, and then you hit your peak and everything like that. And so just to hear like your excitement for your, I mean, I'm going to call it a challenge because that sounds pretty hard, but you can
Yeah.
definitely do that. And to hear like your excitement and confidence for going into it, it just boosts mine for like
That's
just doing my
awesome.
8 miles and everything like that. And
That's what I'm hoping for.
yeah, and
I
I'm
like
not
that.
afraid to admit it. I do my runs very slow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone on the team is unaware of that because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times I slack back in the fall. I remember that.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, it works for me. Like
Yeah.
I don't see any need to like push myself past uncomfortable, like
Right.
to be really straining during practice and normal runs and everything like
Exactly.
that.
That's the
Like
thing
I'm just
is
out there getting miles.
100%. Being able to swallow your pride is a
Yeah.
huge lesson. I don't care how fast you are. If you can't swallow your pride, like people will eat you up
Mm-hmm.
big time. Like people that are better than you will eat you up. If
Yeah.
you're not ready to do something at whatever pace, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're happy with 5 reps and the option is 4 to 6, be happy at 5 reps. You did
Yeah.
one more than the minimum. That's awesome.
Yep.
I feel like people oftentimes get it stuck in their head that they have to do
Optimal stuff,
right.
like the
Like,
maximum
yes,
stuff,
they have to
or else they're not
maximize
going
their
to get like
workout.
rewards for it.
Right. Exactly. You have to maximize your workout to get the maximum result. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not true. You
Yep.
don't have to maximize the reps to get a max result. You don't have to max weight to get a max result. Um, like that's just not how, especially running, but any sport works.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There's like your body has this limit, and like if
exactly.
you surpass that, it starts
It's gonna
causing
just
injuries and
hurt,
everything
right?
like that.
Exactly. You're just gonna run yourself into the ground at that point, and
Yep.
that's the best advice I ever learned my freshman year. Our
Mm-hmm.
assistant coach Nick Scullin told me, and Mike Dorzak. He was another big guy who did a lot of um, teaching and mentoring to me that he doesn't know it, but I learned a lot from him. Is like just being able to swallow your pride and admit that I'm done. I did my work. I'm happy with the work I put today. If I do one more, it's going to go over the edge and that's not
Yep.
going to go well. And that is, it's not only a sign of maturity, but like it's a sign of leadership because
Mm-hmm.
there might be somebody else who's like, I feel good doing more. And it's, well, I'm going to empower myself to stop now because I know
Yep.
that that's the right decision for me.
Yep.
And I feel like a lot of that, learning that as an incoming freshman or teaching that to incoming freshmen is huge because incoming freshmen, they want to prove themselves,
Mm-hmm.
which
Big
is
time.
great. I'm all about it. Like, show me what you got,
Mm-hmm.
but know your limit at the same
Yep.
time. You know what I mean? Like there's a fine line and it's hard to figure out. I'm not going to lie, but you got to find it. You
Yeah.
got to be able to push yourself in a healthy way. And
Yeah.
that
You have to
applies
know your
to,
body.
exactly, that applies to all forms of whatever you choose to do, whether it be running, football, I don't know, anything in life,
Yeah.
working.
Any
I feel like a
sport.
lot of people, they work themselves into the ground. You have
Mm-hmm.
to find that healthy balance.
I have this friend. He's still in high school. He's a junior. He literally works himself into the ground. He works all day long, whether it's actual work or running or wrestling. He's
Mm-hmm.
doing something all day long. And like he's very fit
Mm-hmm.
and like he's getting paid a lot, but like his body is responding to that. And like
Right.
he's exhausted all the time. Like I remember he would sleep in a lot of his classes because he would
Yeah.
just wear his body down
Life
that
starts to
much.
life starts to suffer a little bit from it.
Yeah. Yep. And he would
That's
just
crazy.
constantly push his body further and further and further.
That's where you gotta start to like read your body and know your own body. And it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, I'm feeling a little sore today, I'm going to take it back a little bit, or hey, I'm feeling good, I'm going to step it up. There's both, there's two sides to it.
Yep.
And both are okay. Neither one is bad as long as it's in the right situation.
Yep. And a lot of times with the running, because you're out there for so long, you can start out and like feel like crap, but once you loosen up, you can feel better and go faster and
Exactly.
finish your run and feel like the whole
Exactly.
run went well, even though maybe the first half wasn't so good.
Exactly. When I was doing one of my runs, one of the episodes that I was listening to talked about this. You have to wake up when you run. Like when you get out of bed in the morning, you're not all go, go, go. If you are, more power to you. That's incredible. But like when you wake up, it takes you a little bit. You got to get up. You got to get breakfast or your cup of coffee. You got to brush your teeth. You got to get dressed. Like there are steps that you have to
Yep.
take. And so he broke them down on actually the run I did today. It was focus on your feet. Okay, now focus on your legs. Okay, now focus on your arms. And like just for 5 minutes at a time, think about what's happening
Mm-hmm.
and like really try to like emphasize your form on those key parts, where your
Yeah.
foot is striking, where your legs are going. Are you bringing them back? Is your arm drive good? And when you do that, by the time you're already 15 minutes into the run, you know, you're 2 miles in and you went at 7:30 pace and you didn't think about how tired you felt because you were thinking about your feet or your legs or your arms.
Yep.
Um,
Just
and so it's
keeping
like,
your mind occupied.
right, that's something that's good. I feel like people don't understand. Like they think they can just jump into a run, and it's like, no, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta warm it up first. It
Yep.
takes a couple of minutes, and then you'll feel good. But if you burn yourself out in the first 15 minutes of your run, then yeah, the rest of your run's gonna suck. It's gonna
Yep.
be hard to
Yeah.
finish. It's not something I want to do.
Mm-mm.
So
That was a
starting out
really good
slowly,
analogy, actually.
it
Relating
is
it to waking up
right.
in the
That's what
morning.
I
That
said.
was, yeah, that was incredible.
I was very happy to hear that because I feel like I can relate to analogies a lot
Yeah,
when you
definitely.
hear stuff like that. Like it's like, oh, it is like waking up in the morning, and then you can kind of understand it and um, do it better if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Like you
Because
start to
because
approach
then
your
in
runs
like your
differently.
first, yeah, because then in like your first few miles when you're like, you're tight and like this hurts and that hurts or like that's uncomfortable, you're like, just has
Right,
to loosen up.
you're just
No
waking
big
up.
deal.
You're just getting out of bed.
Yep.
Um, but no, talking about runs, I do want to touch on what we were talking about earlier. Like starting a run is insanely hard.
The
For
the single most hardest part.
it is the hardest
Like
part
in
of a
my
run.
mind, undoubtedly.
It waking up like I don't care if you run in the morning, in the midday, in the evening, it's the hardest part. And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard professional runners, Colleen Quigley, who runs in she was an Olympian steepler. If you nobody knows who she is. She trains in Portland, Oregon, where it rains a lot. And
Big
she was
time.
like, my bed is warmer than outside in the cold rain. And for about 15 minutes every morning, I stare at my running shoes thinking, ooh, should I really go for a run? And they stare right back. And so it's like when I heard that, I was like, everybody struggles with it. And so people will hear us saying we struggle with it. And they're like, oh, collegiate runners struggle with it too. And then we'll hear professional runners who are like, oh, they struggle with it too. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody struggles with starting. And that's something that one of my episodes talked about too, that I want to relay because I felt like it was such a good thing to hear is like starting everybody puts such a huge focus on finishing goals, finishing runs, finishing tasks, you know, getting to the finish line in any aspect of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But like starting it is just as much, if not more difficult. You know what I mean? Like getting out
Yeah,
and starting that
absolutely.
run, you got to say thank you to yourself for like getting out and doing that. Like it's not easy to
Yeah, it
do.
takes a lot of willpower to actually put yourself like
Right.
outside that door and to get
Right. So many people are like,
motivated
oh,
in doing
I
something.
only ran 3 miles today. And you're out here doing 50 a week. So that's what, 7 a day. I'm like, what? But you did 3. Be
Mm-hmm.
thankful for yourself that you did 3 because that's awesome. If you do 3, 7, 10, 15, 26, that's awesome. You're out
Mm-hmm.
there doing
You're
it and
doing it.
you chose to start it. You empowered yourself to start it, which is
Mm-hmm.
so difficult because so many people get defeated by it. They just don't want to start it. They are like, no, it's too difficult. And so the
Yep.
fact that you chose even to do a mile, that's awesome. You chose to
Yep.
start that journey and you're never really finishing it. You're always like, I'm never gonna until the day where the doctor tells me I cannot physically run anymore. I'm never gonna be finished running. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's
Yep.
no finish line.
Yeah. The
There's
journey is just ongoing.
right. You have a start line every day and you pass a start line every single day that you choose to
Yep.
run and you choose to do anything. You choose to go to work, you choose to shoot some hoops with, you know, your friends or your kids or something like that, but you have a start line in something that you choose to do and you never really finish, but
Mm-hmm.
the starting is the harder part, I feel like, and that's
Yeah.
something that nobody emphasizes, and I feel like you should look at it more because that's awesome. Starting is it's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like for most people, like each individual day, like the starting of it is hard as well. But
Mm-hmm.
then like the grand scheme of things, like over the course of a year,
Mm-hmm.
the first month of doing something is probably going to be the most hardest.
Yeah.
Like if you start running from scratch, like completely scratch, say you're 18 years old, you've never run more than like a mile at a time before in your life,
Right.
and you start running a mile every day, it's going to be hard in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to get used to it and you're going to be able to up it and up it. It's
Exactly.
not going to get easier because you're upping how far you go and you're upping how fast you go, maybe,
Right. Right.
but you're going to be able to do what you could do before a lot
Yeah.
easier.
It's
And
the
what,
effort levels that change.
yeah, one of my friends is on the soccer team and they have a requirement now to get a 5 minute mile to be on the team. So like a
That's not easy.
sub five. Yeah. Which is quite insane.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like, I mean, I don't know many runners that would be able to do that with training for running. But
Right. Right.
they're not solely training for running, they're training for soccer.
Right.
And they have to do that on top of it. So
Mm-hmm.
he started running like a mile or 2 miles a day. And now he's already up at like 5 miles, 6 miles, 7 mile
Exactly.
long runs. And it's like if he would have taken those first 2 weeks where it was really hard and just put them off and said, I'll get to it some other time.
Right.
Or like, maybe this isn't for me.
Right.
He wouldn't be where he is right now,
Yeah. You have to
running
get
his
through that
five,
that
six,
kind of
seven
grind.
miles. Yeah. And it is very much a grind.
And
Like,
I like what you said where it doesn't get easier. Like people here, I'm sure it happens for you, but people ask me,
mm-hmm,
what are my average runs or whatever, and I'll say 8 miles, 9 miles. I'll probably run on any given day. That's probably what my average is. And they're like, "Oh, geez, like that's crazy. That must be so easy for you." My runs aren't easy. My runs
mm-hmm,
are just as difficult as your runs. Just because I do them longer and maybe do them a little faster, it doesn't mean it's easier because I do it more often. Like my runs are still difficult, but it shouldn't be looked as greater upon than like their runs. Like
mm-hmm.
it's still awesome that you got out and ran too. That's what I hate when people put themselves down when they hear like about what I do. Like,
Yeah.
no, you did great. The fact that you only ran, I was talking to somebody and they were like, "Oh, I only ran a mile today." Like, I'm like, that's still awesome.
You ran a
Everybody
mile
starts
still.
somewhere, right? Like, you know how many people aren't going to run a mile today?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are runners and they're going to not run a mile today.
Yep.
That's just how it goes. Some people, they don't have time. They have like family work demanded a little extra from them today. They just needed a rest day due to injury or something like that. And that's fine. Some people are just going to choose to not do any form of exercise and they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to run a mile, not today, not tomorrow, not in a week, not in a month. So like the fact that you're out here, that doesn't put me above you because I do 8.
Yeah.
You did 1. That's awesome. Great. Good for you. I
Yeah. My,
started out, I watched my baby videos today with my mom. And there's a video of me in 2004, I think it was. I was born in 2000, so I was like 4 years old, 3.5, 4 years old. And I was on my treadmill and I was going, I don't know, it was probably walking pace for most adults, but I was doing a light jog. I'm not going to lie to you. It was when she came down and showed me, you know how like treadmills had that like track thing
yeah.
and they were like a mile long
Yeah.
or something. I don't know how long they were, but it said like 1.02 miles or something like that in like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So while again, that's probably walking pace for most adults. My little legs, they were
Yeah.
moving,
You were little.
but like, like that's awesome. The fact that
Yeah.
I did a mile at that age. If you do a mile at 40, great. Good for you. Good for you
Mm-hmm.
for getting out. Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Feeling that sense of accomplishment after doing something, like
mhm,
each and every time you do it,
right,
it's just going to motivate you more the next time you do it.
right,
If you think back to that time where
exactly,
where you felt
right.
good about what you did.
hmm Feeling good about it. That's another thing is just being positive to yourself. I feel like so many people are just so negative to themselves in terms of life, but more specifically running. Like if you have like you're feeling crampy or your form isn't where it needs to be, you're like, oh, this run sucks, I suck, like you beat
Mm-hmm.
yourself up over it. And one of the pieces of advice that I heard that I'll always remember is like coach yourself, because you always coach yourself. Every run you're doing, you're coaching yourself.
Yep.
Coach yourself like you're coaching your best friend. Like, you're not going to tell your best friend they suck because they're cramping up. So why would you tell
you might,
yourself
depending
that?
on what kind of friends you are. Generally, you won't.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You're going to be like positive and uplifting and encouraging and, hey, I want you to do good. And so, like, when a run stops going well, that doesn't mean that you have to stop treating yourself well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
definitely.
when life starts going bad. You don't have to start treat like it's not all on you. You got to treat yourself with some positivity, and because the more you uplift yourself, the easier your challenges are going to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So I thought those were some really cool lessons that I learned this week, just in a couple of my runs. But I really liked, like, starting is hard. So I really liked that one. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Just putting emphasis on starting over finishing. Starting is more impressive than finishing. Everybody always wants to finish goals. It's good to start them. It's good to set goals and then go start them.
Yep.
It shows that
and
you really
keep
want
at
it.
them the whole time.
The desire.
Give up on them.
Yeah, that's.
It's like a lot of people's New Year's resolutions. How they
Yeah.
they verbally say to it and commit to it, but then they don't actually do those first couple steps to get it done.
Right.
So the ball never gets rolling, and it just gets forgot about.
And like you said, that first, those first couple of weeks, those first months, it's like that's the hardest part. Once you get into a routine of it, then it gets better. But you got to establish a routine first.
Yeah.
And so that's where people go for a couple of weeks and then they don't fully establish a routine and then they're out of it, or they don't see immediate results. I feel like people like try to lose weight and they don't see immediate results, or they see results and then it caps off because it was water weight, and then they give up, and it's like, no, just it's gonna be a little slower, but like it caps off sometimes. But
losing weight and like making your body look better, I feel, are two of the most like false, what's it called? Like you're imagining, like false imaginatives, I guess.
Okay.
Where you're false expectations. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Like you're expecting to like lose X amount of weight in the first week. And in reality, you might not lose a single pound in the first month.
Right.
That sometimes happens. And you might not see like your side roll or anything like that go away.
Yeah.
Even in the slightest in like the first month. But after that is when you start seeing the results. Like your body starts to get acclimated to what you're doing, your diet, your workout, whatever you're doing.
Right.
And then it starts seeing results. But a lot of people, they start dieting or whatever, and they do it for a couple of weeks, and they don't see the results, and they get discouraged right away, and so they stop. Yeah. Whereas if they would have kept going just a little more, they would have started to see results and then started to like get confident in it and keep going with it.
Right. I feel like people diet until they get their goal weight, and then they go back to eating what they were eating, and then it just brings them right back to where you started. And it's like, no, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Once you make that change, you got to stick with it, like, or else the results are going to come back if you just go revert to what you were doing before. But that's the weight you're going to end up at. And so if you want to lose weight, you got to stick with it. You got to, or if you want that one thing of ice cream or one soda, whatever, you got to do something extra to earn it. You got to do another workout. You got to go for another run. You got to something like that. And that's where people just revert back to their original
old ways.
Yeah. And then it just goes back and they lose all motivation.
Yep. Speaking of soda, do you drink soda at all?
I have never had a sip of soda in my entire life.
Actually?
Yeah. The most sugary thing I've ever had, like, out of those soda fountains is lemonade.
Wow. That's incredible, honestly. So you can't relate to what I'm about to say, but I hope someone listening can. When I go on a street, because I don't drink soda during the season.
Okay.
When it's like summer or like Christmas or something like that, I might have like a Sprite or something. I don't really like root beer or Coke, like the dark sodas, just because I feel like they weigh me down literally a lot more. Like whenever I drink a soda, they do. Yeah. Whenever I drink a soda, after not drinking soda, I feel like it hits me so much harder, and I actually feel the effects that soda does on a normal basis. But if you drink soda every day, you don't notice it.
Right, because you get used
normal.
to it. It's that
Yeah,
it's similar to using. This is an extreme example, but it's like using drugs, where or even alcohol or coffee is probably a better example than drugs.
definitely a
But
better example for coffee.
like coffee, how it's like you drink a cup every morning, and then that's not enough. So you might go to a cup in the morning, and then a cup around 11 o'clock, and it
Yep,
keeps going up from there.
yep.
Yeah, that's a little bit better than drugs.
Yeah,
I take
it's
that
like
one back.
yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna say the
We,
example I was gonna say, but you know what I mean.
we're just
But
jumping
yeah, like
extremes here.
even just soda, like cutting it out for a month, you just I feel like I have so much more energy,
I
and
do
so
too. Well, I mean, I
yeah,
don't drink soda, but like when I actually like eat healthier, I don't eat,
mm-hmm,
pizza every day. Like when I'm home, my friends, it's so easy for, hey, let's get a pizza and chill tonight. Okay, easy, done.
yep,
Um, but like when I'm at school, I feel like I try to eat as healthy as you can with Meds.
yeah,
Meds is our dining service, but feeding a lot of people isn't easy, so I won't bash them
definitely,
too hard. But
yeah.
the
For
healthiest
the most
options
part,
that
you
they
can eat
right.
pretty
If you
healthy.
try, that's the thing. You have to
Yeah,
put in an effort to do stuff.
yeah. Expand your taste buds a little bit.
Right.
Try new
Yes, you have to be
foods.
open to new experiences.
Yeah.
Um, but I do feel like I do eat a lot better at school, and I feel like I have more energy generally. School kind of takes something out of you that you've never experienced before. But I feel like
Hmm.
generally speaking, when I eat healthier, it's just everything kind of lasts longer. You're awake longer.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes me happier too. I'm not as overall
Definitely.
sad. Like when I
Yeah.
when I eat like poo, I'm just kind of like, ugh, this day
Yeah. You're
sucks. I just want to
sluggish and
go
everything.
home. Right, right. I feel like I'm more upbeat is probably a good
Yeah.
word.
I feel like there's definitely like some chemical reaction and everything that goes on
Hmm.
in your mind that
Yeah.
like causes you to be happier and everything like that. But I
Hmm.
mean, I just don't know the science behind that, but I'm sure something like that exists.
I'm nowhere near smart enough for that. Heck no. But we're at like the 47-minute mark right now. So I think we'll kind of talk about where we want to go with this. I think that's kind of something we wanted to address,
Hmm.
just so that you guys as listeners could see our vision with what we want to do in the upcoming weeks. So we want to upload every week. We want to make an episode every single week. We're hoping, if all goes well, that we can release them on Sundays, because while we try to relate lessons to life as well, being a running podcast, um,
Working man.
Sunday long runs are kind of a big thing. Um, so we want to kind of upload on Sundays every week. We want to uh, kind of just talk about lessons, and be almost like coaches and mentors to anybody who wants to hear it.
Yeah.
So we want to
Give little tips and pieces of advice that we've learned
right,
through our
right,
experience and
sharing
help
sharing
someone else
everything
with
we've
them.
learned. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, you mind talking for a second? I'll be right back.
Oh yeah,
Just
I can talk
fill
for
in
a
the
little bit.
space real quick.
Yeah, yeah,
Appreciate
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So like we obviously like making it to the college level and like being able to have the opportunity to run in college. Like we obviously don't know as much as the pros, but we know enough that we can help beginners, we can help former teammates and current teammates get like better at whatever they're doing, and people who are like trying to get into whatever they want to do, maybe we have some like tips or advice for them as well. So
Thanks. Sorry, I had to plug in my computer. Is gonna die.
oh, that would have been good. That would have
Right. I
been
was gonna say we would have lost
that would
this
have been
whole
awful.
recording. So I was
Yeah,
like, that's an acceptable moment to
yeah,
pause.
that would have been unfortunate.
So I don't know what you just said. So hopefully I don't
I
repeat
said
anything.
about how we made it to college and we know a thing or two because we've seen
Yeah.
a thing or two. What
Yeah.
is that? Allstate or wait, no,
That's
it's
farmers.
yeah, farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
um,
Yeah,
so yeah, we're hoping that we can kind of be there for people that want our help or our words of encouragement. We want you to leave every week feeling like a better person. I know I said this a little bit in the first run or the first episode. I try to end every run feeling better about myself in some aspect, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Every single run, I try to end it just a better person, because you're changing every day. Every day you change, whether it's for good or for worse. We don't need to touch on that, but every day you change, you make changes. And so I think we both kind of want our episodes, our podcast, our words to be a part of that journey with you. We want to share those moments to where maybe we're a little bit of some advice to where, oh, I can kind of implement that. And then you see it happening throughout the week and you're like, I feel a little bit better about myself because I can see this change kind of starting to happen. And that kind of makes you feel good. So I think
I
that's,
think a good description word for what we're trying to do would be moral support.
yeah,
Like we're here, you know.
yeah. We're two good dudes
Yeah.
just trying to spread some positivity.
Yep.
So much
Absolutely.
negativity in the world these days.
Way too much negativity.
Just everything's going to be okay. So,
Because every little thing is gonna be all right.
um, so yeah, that's kind of where we're looking to go with it. I know we're both having a ton of fun with it. We're both enjoying doing this a whole lot, and excited for the future with it.
Oh
We
yeah.
think there's a huge potential that we have, and we're really excited to see kind of where we can go. So dogs are excited for bedtime. So we're excited for that. We think it's going to be a ton of fun. And if, as always, I know I said it last time too, but if you have any suggestions about something you want us to talk about, see if we have any experience with, in terms of any topic, anything in general, please feel free to let us know. We're always open to new ideas.
Yep.
So I can't promise that we'll get everything, because there might be some things that we may not feel comfortable talking about. But in general, if there's anything that you all want to hear about, please feel free to contact us, let us know, and we'll see what we can do. Because that's exciting. I feel like having people tell you like, hey, I'd be interested in hearing you talk about this. And then like actually getting to give them that feedback is interesting.
It's like a little bit of feeling good knowing that you directly help someone pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah. You can kind of see like, oh, I know this will help at least one person.
Yeah.
And that's even if 1,000,000 people listen to this and it helps at least one person, I'll feel great about it.
Yep. That's a
That's
good takeaway from it.
at the end of the day, that's, I don't need anything else out of it. But if somebody learns something and feels
Yep.
better about themselves going forward, or can apply something that we say to their, daily life, then that makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, did anything fun happen this week? Any funny stories we can kind of end it on?
Funny stories.
I have a funny story about work. It's not really about running, but it's kind of funny.
Tell it.
All right. Well, at Wegmans, I work on the front end. And so we do this thing called Instacart. It's another company that comes into our store and they kind of do shopping for regular customers that want groceries but don't want to come into the store. So they do delivery options, or they do what we call curbside pickup. So if they do that option,
So
the
is that something
Instacart,
new because of the whole
it's been
COVID thing, or has
around.
that been a thing?
It's been around. It's being like the sales are through the roof because of COVID.
Yeah.
But it's been around for we probably had it for a year now.
Okay.
So these curbside pickups, the Instacart shoppers will place the bags in specific locations depending on if they're frozen or refrigerated items or just regular, if they can be left on a shelf. And so it's my job when the customer's outside to get their bags and bring it out to them. And there's a whole specific technological process that I have to go through with it, and that's all boring. But anyways, so there's a customer that pulls up, and we kind of have, it's a small waiting area. So when it gets busy around this time, there's a lot of customers that come through around the mid-afternoon range. There's a lot of customers that come through, and it kind of gets backed up a little bit. So it's backed up, and I just had finished the first two people in line. And the third person was kind of like at an angle, and they had a minivan. And so it was an old-fashioned minivan with the sliding doors that you grip the handle and you yank it. So
Not automatic.
Right. Yeah. So they opened the door, it locked in place. That was all set. And we have these black poles kind of along our sidewalk so that cars can't drive up on the sidewalk. So they were kind of at an angle. And I came up and I asked them their name. And I said, all right, I'll go get your groceries. So as I turn around, I hear them pull up. Like they pull up and their door hit, their open van door hit the black pole. And it's a van door and a pole that doesn't move. So the van door has to move because the pole isn't.
Yeah.
But the van door is already back all the way. So the only option was for it to fly off. So the van door, I heard a bang and the door came off the van.
Oh.
And the wife was driving and the guy gets out and he just kind of puts his hand on his head and he scratches and goes, well, that sucks. Yeah, like that does
a little
suck.
bit.
So,
oh man.
So that was
and
really
you
funny.
witnessed that happening?
We have it on. We saw it on video on the slow motion playback. That was on our security cameras. That was pretty funny.
Oh, that is hilarious.
So yeah, so then he was like, well,
that is so unfortunate.
I gotta put this in. So he put it in the backseat of his car. Put a door in the backseat of the car. We put the groceries in and they went on their way. And as they drove along the road, you could hear the ding ding from the door being open.
Oh no.
So
yeah.
That wife was very embarrassed. She was like white knuckle, hands on the steering wheel the entire time. Didn't look at me. I said, have a good day. She said, thanks, and just drove off. Like, I'm so sorry. I was like,
yeah, that's so unfortunate.
I felt so bad because I'm like, I'm not even like laughing at you. I feel so bad that like this is an old van and your door just came off.
I mean, that's just funny.
It's just unfortunate. Right. You gotta look back and be like, well,
yeah,
that was kind of funny.
They're definitely gonna look back and laugh.
Right. That's
like, hey, you remember that one time our door fell off at Wegmans?
Yes, exactly.
Oh man.
But
I can firsthand tell you that beeping that goes on their whole drive home, that is so annoying. We used to have a minivan and it was automatic doors, but it like the left door or no, the right door wouldn't shut properly. So for about a week, every time we drove somewhere, beep, 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 the whole time we were driving.
That's awful.
So we would just turn up the radio just a little bit more. Sound it out just a little bit.
Rolling down, you just hear like the it's like when you were younger and you had the kids in high school who just blared music in their car.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You see it coming from this minivan full of kids.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
I do not. No, I don't believe so.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and staying this whole time. I'm really enjoying these hour-long episodes. It's really easy for us to talk about this stuff.
Yeah. It's very fun too. I enjoy our conversations that we have. I
do too. It's really one of the best parts about my week. So hopefully you have an hour. It
gives me motivation going on.
It does. It does. I enjoy it. Like the next couple of days, I feel just better because I think about what we talked about.
Because you can reflect on it,
right?
And then you just look forward to recording another one as well.
I do, yeah. I sit there and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do this again because you experience things. You're like, oh, I got to write this down because this is what I want to talk about. So hopefully you have an hour to kind of set aside or even do other things with.
Like 10-minute segments even.
Right.
Like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there until you get the whole thing
listened to. Yeah, nobody says you have to sit down for a whole hour. So we appreciate it. We have a lot of fun making it. Hopefully you guys have a lot of fun enjoying or listening to it. Hopefully you enjoy it. As always, any suggestions, please feel free to reach out. Other than that, I'm all good. Thanks for tuning in to episode 2. We hope you guys have a great week. Go find your starting lines. Go conquer them. Take them down. And we'll see you back here.
Hardest step is getting out of the door.
Exactly. Once you're out the door, right foot, left foot, baby. That's all it is.
Go from there.
So have a great week, and we'll see you all back here next week.
Yep. See you guys.
Bye.